Well, amen. They pulled it off. You wouldn't realize it, but about half of them never even heard that song until we started practicing this morning. That's pretty good for winging it right there. It's amazing what happens when you listen to the Lord. I was sitting in my office and I was struggling. And like I said, I don't want to scare y'all, but I had 6 pages worth of notes to preach this morning. And y'all are all thanking the Lord to intervene this morning. But anyways, I had 6 wonderful pages that I was going to deliver. And the Lord's changed my heart. And I was sitting there in the office and just getting real full, to be honest with you. And I was listening on the way over here on the radio. Just had tears streaming down my face. The Lord was just working on me. And I noticed we had this song in the choir book this morning. And I began to sing that song and thinking about everything it meant to me. And I got on down there on the chorus where it says, I've been blessed. God's so good to me. Precious are His thoughts of you and me. And the Lord really began to work on me and said, what in the world have I done to make God look at me that way? What have I done to make God look at me and say, that right there is precious? Have I done anything good? Have I done anything worthwhile? Have I done anything that is worthy of the grace and the goodness of God in my life? Have I done anything to deserve all He's done for me? I ain't done nothing, but for some reason God looks at us and He just loves us and He just cares for us. And I can't even begin to explain just the goodness of God and how wonderful He's been to me in my life. And the fact that even though all I do is wrong, He still is just thinking precious every time He looks at me. And the grace that He has and the long suffering that He has every time He looks at me. As I was dwelling on that and thinking along those lines of that song, the Lord took me to Psalms chapter number 8. And you can find your way there this morning if you've got your Bible, and I hope you do. Psalms chapter number 8. Like I said, I don't know how long this is going to take. I went from 6 pages of notes to whatever that is, and my handwriting is so bad I probably can't read half of it anyways, but we'll go with what He's got for us, and if He lets us out early, that'll be fine too. Psalms chapter number 8, verse number 3. Or I'll tell you what, let's just start in verse number 1. Psalms 8, verse number 1. O Lord our God, how excellent is Thy name in all the earth, who has set Thy glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast Thou ordained strength, because of Thine enemies, that Thou mightest steal the enemy and the avenger. When I consider Thy heavens, the work of Thy fingers, the moon and the stars which Thou hast ordained, what is man that Thou art mindful of him? And the Son of Man that Thou visiteth him. I'm interested in verses 3 and 4 there. It says, when I consider, as David is sitting back and he's thinking and he is talking about what has been rolling in his mind and he is considering the things of God. He says, when I take a minute and I step back and I begin to look around and see the great big picture, when I consider the heavens and the work of Thy fingers, when he begins to think about what a great God we have and how that all the way back in the beginning, He began to set things up and He began to create the stars in the sky and the moon, and He began to create everything around us in the land that we walk on, and the animals that we enjoy so very much, and the scenery that we love and go to visit and take pictures of, and the postcard sunset, and all that He's done. As David sits back and begins to just imagine how big God is to have made an earth that big. How big God is when there's been billions of people that live out throughout the history of the world. There's over 6 billion people on the earth right now. How big of a picture it is when David thinks back and really begins to dwell in his mind and think about how big all that is. He says in verse 4, what is man that Thou art mindful of him? Have you ever thought about that? Can I say something? Y'all not get mad at me? God's got a lot more to worry about than just us. Have you ever thought about it that way? We are but a very small part. We're at a very, very small part of this whole thing. I mean, He's got a whole earth. He's got a whole universe. He's got heaven to worry about. He's got the devil and all his crowd to worry about. He's got everybody on the face of the earth, all 6 billion plus that have been here. He's got all the animals. It tells us that the sparrow can't even fall without God realizing He's watching them. It says that He's got the very hairs of our head numbered. It's easy for Him to count mine, but some of y'all got a lot more, and it's hard for Him to keep up with that count. It tells us that He bottles our tears and He keeps them for us. Can you imagine all that God is keeping up with? All that He's got His hands on? All that is worrying Him? All of the prayers that go up to Him? Everything, every single day that He is having to deal with? And for whatever reason, God still has time for me and you. He still has time for us. He still has time to love on us. He still has time to just shed grace and mercy on us. He still has time to meet us in our prayers. Have you ever felt like you were praying for something real dumb? Maybe it's just me. Maybe you've got down and you begin to pray and all you could pray was, Lord, I don't know why, I'm just not happy. And you got people down the road that are praying for lost loved ones. You got people that have got sicknesses and people that have got surgeries going on, and here you are just praying because you got a bad day. And sometimes we think to ourselves, why in the world? There's so much else going on. There's so many big fish to fry, and you got me here. But even in our small, itty-bitty little prayers, the Bible tells us that He's touched with the feeling of our infirmities. He even hears the little ones. He hears the big ones. He hears the medium-sized ones. He hears the gigantic ones. He remembers and hears every single one of them. He has all the time for us, all the people that He has. I sure am glad that God does not have to divide His attention. It's not like going to the DMV and pulling a number and waiting 6 years for them to call your name. No matter what the issue is, no matter what time of day it is, no matter who you are or where you're at in life, I'm glad that God is still mindful of us. He still loves us. He still cares for us. He still reaches way down and gets a hold of us when we need it. When we're in the depth of the miry clay, when we're at the bottom of the barrel, when we're as wicked as we can possibly be, here comes God, all the way down where we are, to pick us up and get us up out of that. Undeserved. Undeserved. I was thinking about this verse here. In the very beginning of verse number 4, it says, "What is man?" I want to try to answer that question real quick this morning. Using the Word of God, I want to tell you what the Bible says man is. What is man? According to Job 14, man is a few days and full of trouble. According to Job chapter number 5, man is born unto trouble. According to Ephesians chapter 2, man is dead in trespass and sins. According to Genesis 6, every imagination and the thoughts of his heart was evil. According to Jeremiah 17, man's heart is deceitful and desperately wicked. According to Romans chapter 3, there's none righteous. According to Romans chapter 3 again, there's none that seek God. Same chapter, there's none that do good. There's none that doeth good, no, not one. According to Romans 3, it also says all of sin that comes short of the glory of God. Ephesians 2, what is man? Man is hopeless outside of Christ. What is man? Well, according to the Bible, we're a mess. According to the Bible, we're a mess. We're a few days and full of trouble. Every imagination of our heart is wicked. In our flesh and what makes man, we have nothing good in of ourselves. We have nothing deserving of the love of Christ. We have nothing deserving of heaven. We have nothing deserving of the blessings of God. Just the fact that we can sit back and sing the song that I have been blessed. God is so good to me. Precious are His thoughts of you and me. Just the fact that we can sing that song this morning ought to just get us fired up, realizing that God has done every single bit of everything that He's done for us, and it's all been undeserved. Not a single bit of it. Not a single bit of it. You read through the Word of God, and it'll let you know just where we're at. It'll let us know just how bad man really is. It'll let us know how desperate we are, how away from hope we are, how the fact that we are a broken, hopeless case without Christ, how without Him intervening on us, we are deserving of hell this morning and not heaven. We've got things messed up today. It feels like people in this life, and I will use this little tissue box here. We've got in our mindset that when we're born like this, and the hand of God is holding us, and the only way we can go to hell is we jump out of the hand of God. That's not right. We're not born destined for heaven. We're born headed to hell because our flesh is wicked. That picture is more like this. We're born more like this. In the hand of God, Jonathan Edwards preaches that famous sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. You ought to go listen to it sometime. I got a book if you want to read it. Really and truly, we're like this. We're born, and the only thing that's separating us from hell is the fact that one of these days our last breath is going to be held on this side, and that hand is going to drop, and we're going to fall, and the only thing that keeps us out of that is the fact that while that hand is there, we can grab a hold of it too. We can accept Christ in our life, and when we do that, He's holding on to us, and we're holding on to Him, and we can't go to hell. We can't lose it. Nobody can take us. Nobody can pluck us out of my Father's hand. I couldn't even leave my salvation if I wanted to lose my salvation. It's locked in. It ain't going nowhere. Undeserved. Man is nothing but a few days and full of trouble, dead in trespasses of sin. Every imagination of their heart is wicked. They're deceitful and desperately wicked. There's none of us that do good. There's none of us that seek after God like we ought to. There's none of us that can do good. That's what the Bible tells us about us. So we believe the Bible this morning, we ought to believe that our human flesh has made us nothing but wicked. Wicked. What is man, Brother Easton? I'll tell you what man is. Man is hopeless. Man is broken. Man is wicked. Man needs help. I sure am glad that there is help. There is help. Even though the Bible tells us all these things that man is and how that he's a few days full of trouble and all this bad picture lets us know really where we stand in our flesh. Even Ephesians chapter number 2 it talks about how that we can't get there by works. We can't work our way in. There's nothing good of ourselves that'll get us there. It's all by faith. It's all by Christ, what He did on the cross. There's nothing that we could do no matter how good you think you are, no matter how good I thought I was. There was nothing in me that made me worthy of heaven this morning. There was nothing in me that made the very darling of God want to come down and say, hey, that one right there is better than the rest. I want that one. If he was pointing to somebody other than me, because it ain't me. Like Paul said, I'm the chief of sinners. I ain't done nothing good. I've done all wickedness. All I've done is lived a life out away from Him and tried to get away with everything I could. But even every time I've done bad, every time I deserve punishment, every time I've let God down, every time I turn around, He's sitting there going, come on. Come on. Come on back. Come on back. He's always had grace. He's always had mercy. No matter how far out away I got from Him, it's always been love. It's always been undeserved. What is man? A hopeless case. I wrote down 5 questions. And I'm going to read them to you and I'm going to give you a verse and I'm probably going to be done. If the Bible tells us all these things about man, how bad man is and how hopeless man is and how it's separated away from God, how that our hearts are wicked, how our desires are wicked, how that we only have a few days that are all going to be full of trouble. It says in Job, it says that we're born unto trouble. If that is true, if the Bible is true, and it is, and it's pointing out all these things about man and the state of man, then I want to ask the question, why does God care about us? How can He care about us? When we're that way, how can He have so much compassion? How can He care about us? It says, when I consider the heavens and the work of Thy fingers, the moon and the stars which Thou hast ordained, in this great big old picture of the world that we live in, and all of these other people around, how come God cares about little old me? You ever thought about it like that? What have we done to get the attention of God? Why has God loved us so much that He's come all the way down and spent His darling Son's life to get somebody like me? I don't understand it. Why does God care about us? Why does He even notice us? I'm a real small fish in a real big pond. There's 60 folks here this morning. We're just one church on one little old road. There's hundreds of thousands, millions of people on this Sunday morning, the Lord's Day, in a church house somewhere. They're all seeking Him. They're all praying and asking for something. They're all desiring that He gets in the pulpit with them and helps them preach. They're all desiring to have the attention of God, but for some reason He doesn't have to divide His attention out. He doesn't have to just go to this one and then go to that one. He comes to every single one of us, and even as small as we are, out here on the backside of nowhere, so far out in the sticks that Syria can't even find this place half the time. Every preacher that comes here thinks they've took a wrong turn to get to this place. Out here on the backside of nowhere, there's still a little old church, and for some reason God still has His hand on us. And God's still here, and God's still loving us, and God's still answering prayers. Why? What have we done? What have we done to deserve that kind of treatment from God? What have we done to make Him want to come and just bless us in the way that He has? Now that we've got these children, I understand more now about a father's love than I ever did before. And you'll get this too. There's some days where my kids decide that they want to be hellions, and I think they have a competition to see which one of them can make me mad the fastest. I don't know what they're doing, but then all of a sudden there's another day that rolls in, and they just want to be sweet as cotton candy. The other day I was mowing the grass, and Darden was supposed to go to her Gigi's house and spend the night, and she waved at me and made me get off the mower. I pulled up and turned the blades off, and she climbed up on that thing, and she hugged my neck real big. She squeezed me real big. She said, "I'm sorry, Daddy." I'm like, that's not something I wanted to hear you say. What did you break? What did you do? I said, what are you sorry for? She said, I'm sorry that you're not going to get to see me tonight because I'm going to be at Gigi's house. Son, I was finna drive that mower to Gigi's house. We finna end that one. Sometimes they're sweet as cotton candy and you can't help but just want to hug them up and love on them and just shower them and spoil them the best that you can. But we don't often want to do that when they're acting like hellions, do we? We want to shower them. We want to shower them with a belt or something like that. Now, which one of those two kids are we to our Father in heaven? Are we the kid who's always living life out away from them? The kid that ain't doing what he's supposed to? The kid that's not praying and reading and studying? The kid that's not witnessing? The kid that's not trying to live by the Word of God? Are we that kid out there to the side? Or are we the kid over here that's trying to be good? Or are we the kid that's trying to crawl up in our Father's arms? Which kid are we? But I tell you something tonight, for whatever reason, even the times that I'm this kid over here, God still loves me. God still showers me with blessings. God still gives me things I'll never deserve. God still comes and loves on me and answers my prayers. God still comes by my way and fellowships with me for a little while. Even when I'm acting as bad as I can be, even when I am the bad one, He's still there. How in the world can God care about somebody like me? How can He notice somebody so small like me that can't do nothing but bad? How can He notice somebody like me that all I've done is just mess things up and come short of the glory of God over and over and over again? But not only does He notice it, but how does He love somebody like me? He can't get nothing out of me. I ain't got nothing good to give. I ain't got nothing. Everything good that's happened behind this pulpit ain't been me, it's been God. It's been in spite of me. How can He love us? How can He come in and bless somebody like this? Can you imagine that? Lord, I know this is the first time you've heard from me in 3 or 4 days. I know I've gone out and I live like hell itself. God, it sure would be good if you bless me again. And for some reason, everywhere we look, there's blessing after blessing after blessing. Oh, you're just saying that, Brother Easton. He ain't blessed me that much. Anybody walk to church this morning? You got in a vehicle this morning. You turned the key on that thing, and it went, unless you're driving a Tesla, and then it went. You got in a vehicle this morning that you drove to church. Your kids was kicking the back of your seat, driving you nuts. Me and Sue brought separate vehicles today. She's got a baby shower to go to. We didn't just have one vehicle that was a blessing this morning. We got 2 vehicles that are a blessing this morning. We went to the gas station there at West Union Quick Stop, and I got Darden a biscuit because she wanted to ride with me. I handed it to her. We ain't even made it out of Enterprise goods yet. We're just in that big long bottom down there before you get up to Pool store. And I just hear Darden go, "Pull over!" What? She done dropped her biscuit down in the side of the door. I ain't even left. I mean, literally, I ain't even got my seatbelt on goods yet. And here I am, got to pull off on the side of the road again. She's driving me nuts. Sue comes flying by us. Now I'm having to listen to Darden because she thinks we're getting beat in the race by her mama because she just passed us. So we go on down the road. We get up here a little bit, and we're coming across Myrtle Pool Road out there. And all of a sudden, Sue's in front of me, and guess what? She pulls off on the side of the road, too. And what in the world is going on? And I see her looking in the back seat, and Easton done something. I don't know if he dropped his biscuit to her or what. But we're saying we can't even make it to church good without these kids doing something like that. We can't even hardly do nothing because all of a sudden they're driving us nuts like that. We can't seem to help it. But that's the same way we do God, time and time and time again. Every time He has somewhere for us to be, every time He has something for us to do, we drag our feet, we're not prepared, we're scared to death to do it, we don't show up. I was just talking to Brother Russell Pruitt, one of the men we're going to go be at his church in Montana this coming week. And he told me, he said, be ready to preach something. And I'm like, brother, I ain't coming to preach. I'm on vacation. And he said, I don't care, essentially. But he has another young man in his church. And he said, I done told him he ought to be ready to be Johnny on the spot. And one day I showed up and I couldn't preach. And I told him to preach. He didn't have nothing. So he's learned his lesson. Sometimes God has got something big and great for us to do. But when He hands it off to us, we miss the blessings of God because we can't do it. We miss the blessings of God because we're not ready for it. And all of a sudden, what does God do? He just gives us another chance. He just gives us another chance. Over and over and over again. I've got the blessings of 2 vehicles. I've got the blessings of 2 kids, even though half the time they drive me nuts. I love them anyways. Wouldn't trade them for the world. We went the other day to a furniture store, and we was walking down through there, and we just had Nate with us, and he was walking. This lady come out of the back, and she said, what will you trade for him? Talking about Nate. And I'm in a furniture factory. I said, I don't know how much you give me. Just kidding around. I would never do that. I said, how much you give me? And she said, you can have anything in this store you want. I started telling him he's going to take one for the team. I'd pick him up later. But anyways, I said, buddy, I wouldn't trade you for the world. I wouldn't trade you for nothing. You're a blessing from God, even though half the time I want to wring your neck sometimes because you drive me nuts. But every once in a while, oh, me, there's one of them good old days. I just love you. You can't help but love them too. The blessings of vehicles, the blessing of those kids. Here in a little bit, we all finna go put something in our belly somewhere. Anybody fasting today? Yeah, I didn't think so. We Baptists. We all finna go to the line somewhere. We finna go eat some fried chicken or something like that, or the Mexican place, wherever we're going. We're going to put food in our belly. We're going to go back home. We're going to jump up in the vehicle, go to the house. We're going to walk in the door, and the AC set on about 69, 70 degrees in the house. It's going to be like an ice box in there. We're going to climb up in the bed that God blessed us with, in the home that God blessed us with the AC that God blessed us with. We're going to turn the TV on. We're going to watch some NASCAR or something. Some of y'all, I ain't. The only time you watch NASCAR is when you want to go to sleep. It'll put you to sleep real good. I don't understand it. I don't know why the race is 400 laps long when the last 4 laps is the only time it matters. But anyways, some of us are going to watch some TV that God blessed us with. We're going to sit in a recliner next to our family that God blessed us with. Monday morning, we're going to get up. We're going to go to a job that God blessed us with. We're going to get a paycheck that God blessed us with. We're going to go buy groceries to put in that fridge that God blessed us with. We're going to put clothes on that God blessed us with. Everywhere we look, it's nothing but another blessing. One after the other. I have been blessed. God has been so good to me. But what is man? What am I to deserve the blessings of God? I'm nothing. We're all nothing this morning. So that begs the question. If we have proven according to the Word of God that we are nothing and we are not deserving of it, but we've also proven over here to the side that God has blessed us in spite of the fact that we don't deserve it. The question is, why? Why does God bless us? Why does He save us? Why does He love us so much? Romans chapter number 5, verse number 8. Romans chapter 5, verse number 8. But God committed His love towards us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. He didn't say that God loved us so much after Christ died for us. He said that while we were yet sinners, while we were yet wicked, while we were yet a few days and full of trouble, while we were yet serving the wickedness of the world, He loved us so much. He loved us so much. And He sent His Son to die on the cross for us. For God so loved the world. Brother Easton, what have we done to deserve it? Y'all listen real close. I'm going to tell you what we've done to deserve it. Y'all ready? Nothing. Nothing. We have not done nothing to deserve or warrant God being as good to us as He has. But aren't you glad that He did? But aren't you glad when God takes the time, when we can sit there with ourselves and say, who am I? What is man? That you would come and be mindful of Him. When we have that mentality, I sure am glad on the other side of that. I don't have to try to riddle it out. I don't have to try to explain it away because I couldn't do it anyways. Somebody asked me, hey, why is God so good to you? I don't know. And to be honest with you, I don't care. I'm just glad He loves me. I'm just glad He sent His Son to die for me. I'm just glad that He saved me. I'm just glad He called me to preach. I'm just glad He blesses me every single day. Undeserved. So undeserved. What is man? Man is hopeless without God. But I sure am glad that God loves us so much. That we can step back and we can sing the song that I have been blessed. Even in the times that I don't deserve it. He's just there shedding blessing after blessing after blessing. Miss Angie, you come on the piano this morning. I'm done. Let's all stand this morning.